I used to believe I had it all figured out. A solid, unshakable life. The kind you see in commercials, stable, predictable good. I'd married my college sweetheart, built a comfortable home in those neat Denver suburbs, raised 2 kids alongside a loyal black Labrador named Max. My days bowled into nights as a construction project manager. The grind was relentless, but I wore my exhaustion like a badge of honor. This is provision, I tell myself. The sawdust on my collar a gritty testament. This is what men do. What I'm supposed to do. Or so I'd been conditioned to believe. Her name is Ashley. We collided sophomore year at Colorado State. Me, the perpetually dusty guy with tools rattling in his pickup bed, her, the bright-eyed future kindergarten teacher. She'd smile at my calloused hands, call me real, a word that settled warm in my chest. 2 years post-graduation we said I do. She molded young minds. I hammered and hustled, pouring every spare hour into building my own small contracting business. Those early years were steeped in struggle, the tang of cheap wine on our tongues, sagging second-hand couches, the flickering glow of Netflix on my ancient, cracked screen laptop. Yet wrapped in each other, it felt like abundance. Love was our currency, and it felt like enough to weather anything. Or maybe that's just the story I sold myself to avoid looking too closely at the cracks. The first fissure appeared on a Wednesday taco night, my culinary domain. The scent of cumin and sizzling beef filled the kitchen. Onions burned my eyes as I chopped, but the sting was nothing compared to the sudden realization slicing through me she wasn't home. No headlights in the driveway, no familiar chime of her phone alerting me. The clock on the microwave glowed 6:42. The kids had meticulously set the table, forks clinking. Max lay by the front door, a furry, expectant statue, his tail giving a hopeful thump at every distant car sound that wasn't hers. When she finally slipped in at 7:15, the air shifted. She wasn't flustered, not exactly guilty. It was a chilling vacancy, like someone inhabiting her skin from a great distance. A perfunctory kiss brushed the kids' heads. Traffic, she murmured, the word thin and brittle. Before vanishing upstairs. No glance my way. No comment on the tacos cooling on the counter. That's when the cold pit yawned open in my gut, a silent, gnawing void. In the weeks that followed, her presence became spectral. She'd sparkle with the kids, her laughter echoing brightly, only to turn to stone around me, a sudden, suffocating silence. Late meetings stacked up. A new cloying perfume clung to her clothes, a scent I hadn't chosen. Gym sessions stretched longer. Our shared bed became vast and cold, her back a rigid wall in the darkness. I became an architect of denial. Stress, I reasoned, plastering over the dread. Tiredness. 10 years of marriage, routines calcifying. You were imagining things, conjuring ghosts. I drowned the whispers in the roar of deadlines and the clatter of tools. But then the phone bill arrived, a flimsy sheet of paper that felt like lead in my hands. That Sunday, while she took the kids to her mother's, I tackled the finances. A single, unfamiliar number leapt out, repeating like a sinister drumbeat across the pages. Dozens of calls. Always late at night. Always originating from her line. My fingers traced the digits, icy despite the warm room. My hands trembled as I scribbled it down, the pen digging into the paper. Denial screamed in my ears, but a colder, harder impulse took over. I dialed the number, my throat tight as a vice. A man's voice, smooth and unconcerned, answered. Hello. The sound was a physical blow. I slammed the phone down, the plastic cracking against the cradle. The next morning, heart hammering against my ribs, I waited for the shower spray to mask my trespass. Her phone lay innocently on the dresser. It had never needed a code before. Now, a digital lock guarded its secrets. I'd watched her the night before, her fingers tapping 0731. Our anniversary date. The bitter taste of irony coated my tongue. The text history was unnervingly clean, she was meticulous. But in the photo gallery nestled between pictures of the kids and Max was a landmine she'd missed. A mirror selfie in an anonymous hotel bathroom. She wore lacy black lingerie I'd never seen, fabric that promised intimacy withheld. But it was her expression that stopped my breath. Not soft, not shy. It was fierce, possessive, hungry. Utterly confident. A stranger stared back, radiating a vitality I hadn't seen in years. A woman reborn in betrayal. I swallowed the bile rising in my throat. I said nothing. Not yet. Instead, I became a silent archivist of my own destruction. Watching. Noting absences. I hired Jake, an old high school buddy turned private investigator. His reports were clinical, the photos devastating. 3 meetings in 2 weeks, the dim booth of a downtown bar, the sterile anonymity of a mid-range hotel room, the shadowed backseat of his SUV behind a sprawling target. Each image was a scalpel, methodically gutting the life I thought I knew. But the deepest wound wasn't the locations or the acts. It was the sheer, unadulterated joy radiating from her in those stolen moments. A lightness, a carefree abandon I hadn't witnessed since before mortgages, midnight feedings, and the accumulated weight of 15 shared years. She looked unburdened. Alive. Like she'd shed my skin along with our vows. That Friday I left work early. A storm brewing in my chest. The kids were at my sister's. She was curled on the couch, bathed in the cold glow of her phone, fingers flying across the screen, perhaps texting him. The air crackled. "We need to talk," I said, my voice flat, alien. She looked up slowly, the phone's light etching hollows under her eyes. I'll carry that split-second flicker of panic in her gaze forever, quickly shuddered behind a mask of eerie calm. She set the phone down, screen facing up. A silent dare. I laid out the evidence like shrapnel on the coffee table between us. The damning phone number. Jake's stark photographs. The meticulously cleaned text logs. "Tell me the truth," I demanded, the words scraping raw. She didn't crumple. Didn't weep. Didn't even deny. Just a quiet, terrifying admission, "I didn't mean for it to happen." A harsh, humorless bark of laughter escaped me. "That's the best you've got." Didn't mean to. The absurdity was a physical age. She stood, drawing herself up. I was lonely, David. You vanished into your work. You stopped seeing me. We stopped talking. We stopped touching. I felt invisible. Like furniture. Her voice was steady, rehearsed. Rage and anguish warred within me, a tempest begging for release. I wanted to shake her, scream, "Why didn't you scream at me? Why didn't you fight? Why did you choose destruction over us?" But the words died unspoken. I just stood there, a man being slowly buried alive by the cold, precise soil of her justifications. The following weeks dissolved into a gray, suffocating haze. We told the kids Mommy needed some time at Grandma's. I exiled myself to the guest room, its emptiness a constant companion even after she packed her things. Bottles became my solace, then my prison. Work deadlines blurred and slipped away. Nights were spent staring at the ceiling's blank canvas. Replaying our entire history on a relentless loop, our first trembling kiss under the campus elms, heated arguments over bills, chaotic birthday parties, lazy Sunday mornings tangled in sheets. Which version was real? The woman who loved me, or the stranger in the hotel mirror? Yet somewhere in that crushing darkness, a tiny, stubborn ember refused to be extinguished. One raw morning, Max, ever faithful, nudged my limp hand with his wet nose. Sex 15. Pale dawn light bulged through the blinds. I reeked of stale sweat and despair. I looked into his deep, brown eyes that held no judgment, only a quiet, insistent plea. "Get up. You were still here. We were still here." It wasn't words, but a feeling, clear and sharp. So I did. I held myself upright. The simple act of brewing coffee became a ritual of reclamation. The scrape of the razor against my cheeks felt like shedding a dead skin. I drove the kids to school. Their chatter a fragile tether to reality. I returned to the job site, the familiar weight of a hammer in my hand grounding me. I sought a therapist, unpacking the rubble of my trust in a safe, neutral space. I traded the bottle for dumbbells, channeling the fury into sweat and strain. I chose sobriety one difficult day at a time. Ashley filed for divorce in May. The papers arrived like a formal epitaph. I didn't contest. What was left to fight for? The ghost of what I thought we had. The decree was finalized in August. A legal period marking the end of an era. We navigate the awkward dance of shared custody. The kids, resilient in ways that humble me, are weathering the storm. They know mommy and daddy live in different houses now, shielded from the ugly details. 4 days a week, they anchor me to the present. We lose ourselves in mountain hikes, fierce board game battles, the sweet, messy alchemy of Sunday morning pancakes. They are my compass, my reason. And me? I'm rebuilding, brick by painful brick. The ghost of her still drifts through my thoughts, sometimes the way her laughter would bubble over after one glass of wine too many, the off-key songs she'd belt out in the car, utterly unself-conscious, believing herself alone. But I don't miss the knife twist of betrayal. I don't ache for the labyrinth of lies. I miss the idea of her, the mirage of the woman I thought shared my life, my dreams, my unwavering loyalty. The brutal lesson is etched into my bones now: loving someone with your whole heart doesn't guarantee they'll hold it with the same care forever. People fracture, they transform, they make choices that shatter the foundations you built together. Choices that can break you. But they don't have to break you open only to leave you empty. They can break you open to let something stronger emerge. I'm not the man I was a year ago, blindly trusting the blueprint of his life. I'm tempered now. Harder in some places, softer in others. Wiser infinitely. I know my worth isn't tied to a paycheck or a crumbling marriage. I know the strength I carry, the loyalty I offer, the love I'm capable of giving. And if there's ever a next time, a cautious, fragile hope I will ensure, with every fiber of my being, that I sit across from someone who recognizes that worth, someone who chooses us over escape, someone who sees me as clearly as I now see myself. Because I may have lost a marriage, the future I meticulously planned. But in the wreckage I found myself. And that's a trade I can stand by. That's a foundation I can build upon.